Okay, let's unpack this. When you picture a kangaroo, what comes to mind? Big feet, powerful tail, hopping across the outback, right?
The classic image, yeah. Speed, open spaces.
But what if I told you there's a kangaroo? Well, sort of a kangaroo, that ditched the ground entirely. Think bunny face, maybe the upper body strength of a monkey, living way up in the trees.
Sounds pretty strange, doesn't it?
It really does. So today we're doing a deep dive into this creature, the tree kangaroo, genus Dendrologus. Our mission is to figure out how this member of the Macropodidae family, the kangaroo family, actually went back to the trees.
It's a fascinating evolutionary U-turn.
Exactly. We'll look at how they managed it, where they live, which is kind of surprising, and importantly, why this animal, which honestly looks like a living plush toy, is in serious need of conservation help.
And connecting it to the bigger picture, it's just a stunning example of readaptation. We're talking about a split that happened maybe 5 million years ago from its more famous ground-hopping cousins. Evolution really isn't a straight line.
Not at all. So let's start with that family tree. Macropodidae, that includes the big reds, but also wallabies, patamelons, even those super cute quokkas.
All defined by those large hind feet, that specialized hopping, built for the ground.
But around 5 million years ago, one branch of this family just went vertical. What had to change? I mean, physically, how does a hopping machine become a climber?
Well, it wasn't just a little adjustment. It was pretty much a complete overhaul. Your standard ground kangaroo has a pretty stiff body, especially the spine and ankles. They're built like springs. The whole body is about forward propulsion.
Right, optimized for bouncing.
Exactly. But tree kangaroo ancestors, they suddenly needed to deal with branches, uneven surfaces, different angles. Gripping became essential.
So what was the key change?
The absolute clincher, the thing that makes it all possible, is the ankle, fully rotatable ankle.
That sounds almost minor, but I guess for a macropod that's huge. Why is that rotation so vital up in the canopy?
Think about it like this. A ground kangaroo's foot is like a pogo stick, right? Optimized for pushing off forwards. Very efficient front-to-back movement.
Okay.
A tree kangaroo needs to be more like a grappling hook. It has to grip branches, move sideways, even climb down head first sometimes.
Ah, I see. So the ankle needs to twist.
Precisely. Those ankles can turn, well, basically 180 degrees. That lets their feet grab a branch securely from underneath or sideways. It gives them purchase, grip in any direction.
So it fundamentally changes how they use those big back legs. They're not just for pushing off anymore.
Not just for pushing off, no. They become these powerful, grasping climbing tools. Still strong, obviously, but used totally differently.
So they're kind of like upside-down kangaroos, movement-wise, still using the back legs for power, jumping branch to branch, maybe.
Yeah, they do make some impressive leaps between branches using those legs. But the tail is different, too. It's not for power or balance during hopping. It's mostly just for stability, like a counterbalance, often just hanging down.
And it's not just the ankles, right? You mentioned upper body strength earlier.
Oh, absolutely. That's another huge difference. Your ground-roo has fairly weak forearms, used mainly for feeding or maybe a bit of balancing when slow moving.
Right.
Tree kangaroos have much longer, stronger, more muscular forelimbs. And they have these long, curved claws. They need all that to haul themselves up, to grip onto bark that might be slippery or wet. That's where that monkey strength comparison kind of makes sense.
Wow. Okay, so imagine being one of the first Europeans to see one. This furry thing climbing a tree doesn't look like a monkey, not really a bear. Must have been baffling.
Totally baffling. And this is where the history gets really interesting. When scientists first tried to classify them, they were so thrown by the look, the roundish face, the fluffy ears. They actually named the genus Dendrologus.
Which means?
Tree hare. Literally tree rabbit. They basically saw a big rabbit living up in the trees. It just shows how radically different it seemed from any marsupial they knew.
Huh. Tree hare. And I guess that fits their diet. Partially, anyway. Lots of greens.
Yeah, the name works on that level, too. They eat a lot of leaves, ferns, flowers, fruit. Your typical canopy salad bar.
But I get the feeling there's a twist coming.
There is indeed. They aren't strictly herbivores. Our sources call them closeted omnivores.
Closeted omnivores. Okay, what does that mean?
It means that while leaves and fruit are the main course, they're not above grabbing other opportunities. Things like bird eggs, even small birds if they can catch them.
Whoa, really? So is that common? Do lots of animals we think of as herbivores sneak a bit of meat, or is this special to the tree kangaroo?
That's a really good question. It happens more than you might think across the animal kingdom. But for the tree kangaroo, it seems particularly important. Think about life in the canopy leaves can be really tough to digest, low in energy.
Right, not very nutritious sometimes.
Exactly. So finding a nest with eggs or catching a small bird, that's a massive protein and nutrient hit. Probably pretty essential for maintaining those strong climbing muscles and just general health in a demanding environment. It's likely driven by necessity up there.
Makes sense. Okay, let's talk about where you find these guys, because their distribution is almost as weird as their ankles. You said 15 species.
15 distinct species, yeah. But they're not spread out evenly at all. Only 2 Bennets and Lumholtzes live in Australia, up in the Queensland rainforests.
And the rest?
All 13 others are found on the island of New Guinea, mostly in the dense mountainous rainforests there.
Wow. Okay, so New Guinea is really the hot spot for tree kangaroo diversity.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And that isolation in New Guinea's mountains has led to some incredible species, but also, sadly, incredible rarity. Like the Wondiwoi tree kangaroo found only in the Wondiwoi Mountains. It might just be the rarest marsupial on Earth.
The Wondiwoi. Okay, that story is wild. It was seen once, way back when.
First described scientifically in 1928, found, documented, and then basically nothing. Radio silence.
So how long?
Nearly 90 years. Think about that. An entire species, known from one encounter, just vanished from scientific sight for almost a century. Became almost legendary, like a cryptid.
Until relatively recently.
Until 2017. And the rediscovery itself is just amazing. There was this amateur naturalist, Michael Smith, hiking in the Wondiwoi range. Not even looking for the Wondiwoi specifically.
Just out for a hike.
Pretty much. And he spots this unusual animal way, way up in the canopy, like 30 meters up. That's 10 stories high.
Wow. And he just took a picture.
Took some photos, yeah. Logged it as interesting, but since he wasn't a marsupial expert, he didn't immediately grasp the significance. He just continued his hike.
No way.
Yep. It was only when he got back to England and started showing the photos around to experts that people went, wait a minute, what is that?
And it was the Wondiwoi.
It was. Those photos, taken almost by chance, were the first confirmation in nearly 90 years that the Wondiwoi still existed. Incredible bit of luck and sharp eyes. Shows you just need to keep looking right.
Definitely. What an amazing story. Okay, so shifting gears a bit, what about their social lives? Are they solitary like a lot of canopy animals?
Typically, yes. They tend to keep to themselves until it's mating season. But even then, their courtship rituals can be quite different depending on the species, which is kind of charming.
Oh, like how?
Well, for example, the male grizzled tree kangaroo is described as quite gentle. He'll approach a female and sort of softly stroke her to show interest.
Ah, okay.
But then you have the Matschie's tree kangaroo where often it's the female who makes the first move. She might go up to the male and touch noses to initiate things.
So some variety there. And the joeys, I assume they stay in the pouch for a long time, given how dangerous the trees must be for a baby.
For a very long time. They pretty much don't leave the pouch at all for the first 5 months. Just developing, getting strong. It's a long period of dependency, but totally necessary to build up the strength and coordination needed for life, high above the ground.
Which brings us to the really tough part of the story.
Yeah. It raises this critical question. These animals are so adaptable, so specialized for their niche. Why then are basically all the New Guinean species threatened with extinction?
It feels incredibly unfair, doesn't it? An animal masters vertical living only to be threatened horizontally, so to speak. And the sources are pretty clear. It's us, human activity.
Overwhelmingly. The #1 threat is habitat destruction. Deforestation is bad enough, but for tree kangaroos, habitat fragmentation is lethal.
Explain that. Why is fragmentation worse for them than, say, a ground animal?
Well, think about it. If you clear a patch of forest, a ground animal might still be able to cross the open area, even if it's risky. But a tree kangaroo, they're trapped.
Right, they can't just hop across a logging road or a farm field easily.
Exactly. Their entire world is the canopy. If you cut that canopy up with roads or clearings or settlements, you create these islands of forest. They can't leave. Their world shrinks. They can't find enough food. They can't find mates outside their little patch. It isolates populations.
And that affects all 13 New Guinea species.
All 13 are currently threatened with extinction. And even the 2 Australian ones, Bennets and Lumholtzes, are listed as near threatened. It's a really serious situation across the board.
That's grim. But there is some hope, right? People are working on this.
Thankfully, yes. There are dedicated conservation groups. One great example is the Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program, which is actually run out of the Woodland Park Zoo in Seattle.
Seattle. That's a long way from New Guinea.
It is, but they do crucial work on the ground in Papua New Guinea, working directly with the local communities, and that's absolutely key.
Why the community focus?
Because conservation doesn't work if the people living alongside the animals aren't involved and supportive. You need local buy-in, sustainable alternatives to habitat destruction, education, all of it.
And is it working?
The signs are encouraging in some areas. Look at the Tenkyle tree kangaroo, another New Guinean species. Back in 2001, its population was thought to be fewer than 100 individuals, critically endangered, just hanging on.
Wow, fewer than 100. That's terrifyingly low.
Right on the brink. But through these focused community conservation efforts, hunting moratoriums agreed upon by villages, habitat protection, they've started to rebound. As recently as 2019, tenkales have actually been seen reappearing near villages where they hadn't been seen for years.
That's fantastic. That's a real sign of recovery.
It's a tremendous sign of hope. It shows that it can be done. And we also have to mention captive breeding programs around the world. They act as a vital insurance policy, maintaining genetic diversity and backup populations just in case things get worse in the wild, and hopefully providing animals for reintroduction someday.
So, wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway here? We've got this animal that defied its evolutionary path, the sort of rabbit-monkey-kangaroo hybrid that conquered the treetops.
It's a biological marvel, really. A living example that evolution isn't locked into one direction. It can backtrack, innovate, find new ways to thrive. The tree kangaroo is proof of that adaptability.
But it's also incredibly vulnerable.
Extremely. And what's fascinating, or maybe crucial, is that simply knowing about them, raising awareness, is maybe the first most important step towards helping them. They're so often overshadowed by the big Aussie kangaroos.
Yeah.
Just getting their story out there is vital.
Yeah, bringing them out of the shadows, so to speak. Okay, so a final thought then. This animal made this incredible 5 million-year journey back to the trees, developing these amazing adaptations like rotatable ankles. But thinking ahead, what kind of pressures could possibly push their descendants into yet another major lifestyle shift? Could they ever become ground runners again, or maybe something completely different?
That's a deep question. What would it take? Another massive environmental upheaval. It's hard to imagine.
Definitely something to ponder. What could make the tree kangaroo change its address again? Food for thought for everyone listening.